and good morning. Yesterday I talked about the day/year of judgment. And in my personal life, I see a lot of judgment going on. Sometimes it appears to be coming from my friends, and some of my friends remind me that it's actually coming from me. Because if I see it in others and I sense it in my world, it must be happening in me. And one of my friends, actually a couple of my friends have been saying to me of late that they notice me playing the role of victim fairly often. And I thought, well, I need to do a video on victim. And I begin today with this title, which answers the question, Ron, why are you doing these videos? What is it that you are hoping to achieve? What's your purpose? What's the meaning? The title for today's talk is To Bear Witness to the Truth. And my little blurb is actually from the 18th chapter of John in the Bible, where Jesus had been delivered to Pilate, who was the political leader in that area at the time. And the religious leaders had delivered him to Pilate because he said he was I'm reading now. Anyway, it was the trial of Jesus before Pilate. I'm not going to go into the story because that's really not where I'm focused today. But in the 38th verse, Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? And Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end I was born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Every one that is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? That perhaps is the most important question, or certainly in the top 5 of the most important questions any one of us will ever ask ourselves. Which is why I chose that particular portion of Scripture, and I read it in the King James Version, which is what I grew up on. Because when I grew up, the King James Version was the only real true Bible. The others weren't true Bibles. Believe it or not, that's how fundamentalist I was raised. I don't believe that anymore. But I do believe that the Bible contains much wisdom and much to contemplate. And I spend a good deal of my time in contemplation. So why am I doing this? To bear witness to the truth. To tell the truth about the spiritual journey of awakening. Because it's not all on the mountaintop. It's not all wonderful and airy-fairy and positive and upbeat. It's not. There are so many spiritual teachers that will only get on behind their pulpits or on the camera or behind the microphone, and they will only put their best foot forward. They will tell you how wonderful it is supposed to be, and they will paint a picture in glowing terms of a spiritual walk that doesn't exist in the real world. When I say the real world, I'm talking about the three-dimensional world that we live in at this time. You'll read books, they'll write books like The Course in Miracles and stuff like that. where it's a constant warfare between your ego and the higher self. Like the truth, therefore, is a battle, is a conflict. And our whole lives are lived in conflict. And judgment, I didn't say this in yesterday's talk. I talked about judgment being a house of Israel. Judgment begins in my house, God says in the Bible somewhere. Judgment begins with my people. Now, who are my people? Who are God's children? All of us. All of us. And especially those that claim to be God's children. Not everyone even thinks of themselves as a child of God. Perhaps most don't. But those that do, we on the spiritual journey, we owning our spiritual aspect, we claim to know God. We claim to know what it's all about. We claim to have some answers. And I came to bear witness to the truth, that there are times in my life that I don't know what the hell is true. I can wax eloquent sometimes, telling people the things that I've heard and the creeds and the doctrines, whether they're New Age or Christian or whatever label you want to put on them. It doesn't really matter, because we're all in this thing together. We're all the same. We're all cut from the same fabric. Jesus said he came to bear witness to the truth. For this purpose I was born. I came to this world for that purpose, to bear witness to the truth. But Pilate said, but what is truth, God? Jesus, what is truth? What is truth? I contend to you that truth is whatever we are experiencing, whatever we are thinking, whatever we are feeling. Whatever our situation is, for us, that is the truth. That is the truth. Is it the whole truth and nothing but the truth? No, it's not. Nothing ever is. Nothing ever can be. Because the whole truth is beyond a singular point of reference. It's within the singular point of reference, but it's beyond knowing it. It's beyond comprehending it. Because all that we can seemingly focus on, at least at this stage of our human development, if you will, our human evolution, the only thing that we can focus on, pretty much, is one point at a time, one perspective at a time. And when somebody is trying to do something to you that you don't like, you may feel like you're being victimized. And that victimization at that point is your truth. It's your truth. It may not be the truth completely, and actually, it probably never is completely, because nothing is completely in three-dimensional reality. But we are jumping to a fourth-dimensional reality, and what does that do to us spiritual people, us light workers, if you will? Us Christians, us Muslims, us Buddhists, us Hindus, us Jews, us Muslims. Did I say that already? I don't want to leave anybody out, you see, because it doesn't matter what religion we are. We all go through the same issues. We all go through the same thing. Sometimes we feel like victims because things are happening in our world that we do not approve of. We want to set boundaries that make us feel safe and secure. That we want to be loved and accepted. We want to be understood. And our friends sometimes are the worst culprits because they don't get it. They don't understand. They don't see me like I really am. You say, Ron, what are you saying? I'm saying that I go through these things too, is what I'm saying. That's the whole purpose of doing it every day. You've heard me when I'm on the mountain. You've heard me when I'm in the valley. I'm telling the truth. That's the reason why Spirit has me doing these things every day. because every day there is a new perception, a new experience, a new way of dealing, of responding or reacting to whatever is going on in my life and in my world. And it's important, I believe Spirit is telling me it's important to put that out, to bear witness to the truth of our own experience. Because, hey, we're in this thing together. And we need to look at ourselves. We need to look at ourselves with as much clarity and honesty as we're willing to muster for ourselves. I need to do that. You need to do that. We all need to do that. Why? Because we're creating a new world together. We're creating a world where we're not going to continue to play victims. But we have to see ourselves playing the victim. We have to see ourselves doing that. And I hate it when somebody's pointing out to me, Ron, you're playing victim. It doesn't feel good because I don't want to play victim. I remember I did that to somebody in my own life a year or two ago. I could see where she was playing victim, 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 and she kept saying, I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. But all I saw was victim. And she hated being called a victim. And I do too. Do you see what I'm pointing out to you? How we deal with others and how others deal with us, it's common ground for all of us. We don't get each other. We don't understand. We're confused. I say we, because I'm feeling the confusion. I've beat myself up horribly because I don't seem to get to the point where I always get it. I do fall back in to poor, pitiful me and throw a pity party for myself sometimes. And a lot of you do too. Some of you live your whole life on that seesaw where you're up one day and down the next, up one day and down the next. It's not just a roller coaster, it's a seesaw. Boom, 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 boom. And your whole life is manic, depressive, manic, depressive. We all have that to some degree. Some have it more accentuated than others. Those are people that have trouble dealing with the world and dealing with society. And we all want to create a story where we can feel good about ourselves, where we can look good. But is that the truth? Is that the truth? The truth is we want to do that because we don't feel good about ourselves, because we are confused and we don't want to admit it. We don't really have a handle on what it's all supposed to be. We don't have a handle. We don't feel accepted to ourselves. And therefore, the world around us bears witness to what we feel about ourselves. But we don't even want to admit that that's what it's doing, because we don't want to admit it to ourselves. I know. I know that that's what's happening with you, because it's what happens with me. And we're all the same. We're much more the same than we are different. I can honor the differences that we have, but I recognize the sameness that is in me and in everyone else around me. I see it again and again and again. It's so easy to pretend we're spiritual and to deny our humanity. And that's the spirit of the Antichrist, according to the Bible. It's not the one that denies that Jesus was divine. Oh no, that's not the Antichrist. The Antichrist denies that Jesus was human. And isn't that spirit in all of us? To deny our own humanity? To not allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to be real? We want to protect ourselves in our fortress of lies, is what it really is. But we don't want to admit that it's lies. We want to be safe, that we're not going to be revealed to the rest of the world, because we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want anybody else to know how we really feel. So we put on this front. We've all played the game and we still play it. From time to time, we go in and out of it. We see and then we stop seeing. We remember and then we forget. You see, it's common to the human experience. That's the truth of the human experience. That's the truth of three-dimensional reality. But it's not the ultimate truth. Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end I was born. To this end we were all born. We are all sovereigns in our own right. We are all kings and queens, princes and princesses. We are all a royal priesthood. We are all prophets and seers. We are all masters. But what is mastery if it's not living our lives in truth? What is truth? It's whatever we're experiencing right now. Are we willing to live in that vulnerability? I am, but sometimes it hurts because it's not comprehended, it's not understood, even by some of my best friends who just don't get it. And how much of it don't I get? And I don't even know the answer to that question. What is love? Is perhaps an equally important question to what is truth. To me, love is accepting all it is, with no pretense, and as little judgment as possible. And even as little judgment as possible when we find ourselves judging. Ah, the paradox. I've been sharing that with people for a long time in my life. My mentor, Bruce Morgan, said that my forte was paradox. And I'm here to embrace the paradox, to integrate the opposites in my own life, and to tell the truth. That's what I believe love is, telling the truth. I leave you with these thoughts this morning. The day of judgment, the year of judgment has begun. Judging, ultimately, will set us free when we tell the truth. Namaste.